What's going on, guys? This is Kyle Carroll from MyMMAnews.com and Carroll's Corner MMA podcast. Today we got Austin Shoop joining us. We'll be fighting on Cage Wars 47 fight card Saturday night in a couple weeks on June 26th, I believe it is. It's a two-night event for Cage Wars. It's a big event going down. Friday night they got one event. Then the following night, June 26th, Saturday night, they got another event. And Austin here will be fighting Ricardo Hernandez on the fight, or Henderson on the fight. Austin, how you doing?
I'm doing well. Just been training hard, staying disciplined, working full time now, which is a little bit of a change. Before I was fighting, I was a student, so it's a little bit different now, but just staying the course, and I'm excited to fight.
Awesome. What do you do for full time for work?
So right now I'm a financial analyst for a big construction company.
Okay, good for you. So what makes you want to fight, get in the cage, and do this? If you got a good job, you sounds like you got a pretty good job. Why get punched in the face when you could go to work and collect a nice paycheck?
Yeah, it's funny. Sometimes I'll ask myself, like, how did I get here? How did I end up doing this? And it's pretty crazy. My first year into college, I wanted to get into jiu-jitsu and grappling. I never really had fighting in mind. And there were Muay Thai classes, boxing classes as well. And I started going to those and really liking them, and just fell in love with it. Started showing up a lot, practicing a lot, kind of became obsessed with it. And then eventually, I was offered by my coach, Brian. He said, "Hey, do you want to try this out?" I said, "Yeah, let's give it a shot." And ever since, just been, working hard, training, and, learning as much as I can.
Now you train under Brian Burdge Jiu-Jitsu. Tell us a little bit about training with him, under him, and learning from Brian.
It's incredible. From the coaches there to the guys fighting there. I mean, we all make each other better and build upon each other. We've got amazing jiu-jitsu with Brian. We got incredible boxing with Celo Miranda, and we got incredible Muay Thai with James Muir. I mean, you combine those three, and along with that, what's great is you got a bunch of amateur fighters that are learning and growing together. And we got really talented guys, but I would say overall we're like not at the same level, but it's not like you got like this pro that's really high up and he's not getting anything out of it. You've got a bunch of guys that it's almost like an incubator. We're growing together, and we're training hard, and you can see it. Sometimes we'll talk and we'll look back and be like, wow, in a year we've really come far together, all of us.
That's awesome. And your last fight obviously has been over a year ago. It was before the pandemic took place. You had a pretty good show and you came out with the victory. Austin, tell us a little bit about your goals within the sport. What do you want to get out of this? Where do you want to go with it?
Yeah, so my goal right as of now, I would say is to fight as much as I can while I'm healthy. And especially at amateurs, I want to get in the cage as much as I can. I'm not so much concerned about, picking opponents and being picky about my fights. I think the best way to get better is to get in that cage and compete. And each time I step in the cage, I learn a lot. And, I come out of there with things I want to improve upon for my next fight. Because, there's things you train for and you practice well, but it's so different when you get in that cage and you got a big crowd there and you got that adrenaline, and it's kind of working out those kinks. So, I love fighting. I want to fight every chance I can get and just see where it goes.
Awesome. Now you got a pretty tough opponent coming up. He's a pretty tough guy, Ricardo Henderson. Tell us a little bit about the challenges you believe he presents to you.
So I've seen a couple of his fights. I think he's a really tough guy, strong guy, very scrappy. And I think, he's a guy that you really need to utilize technique against. And that's the game plan, is just to rely on my training, rely on my technique, and, stay calm in the cage, stay focused, and just, stick to what's in the toolbox. And not go outside of that and do things that aren't in the realm of my training. So
Okay. And now the fight's going being held at a catchweight 180. Is there a reason for it being at 180?
So I originally thought it was going to be at 170, and I'm fine. To me, I don't really care. I'll fight wherever. I walk around at about 190. So when they came back and said they want it to be 180, I was even happier. I mean, that's less of a weight cut, makes it a little less miserable. So yeah, it's going to be at 180. Right now I'm at 185. So I mean, I could do this weight cut in a couple of days. It's not too concerning, and it helps with training too. When it was my first fight was 165, second one was 170, and towards the last week and a half, 2 weeks, I could feel that my training I wasn't getting as much out of my training because I was so depleted. That could be from cutting weight the wrong way, but this time I'm feeling much better, and yeah, I'm excited to see how it works out.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's always good to be healthy and 5 pounds out from the weight 2 weeks before the fight. Like you said, you're not going to be cutting too much.
No.
It'll be real easy for you to get down to 180. So you got Ricardo Henderson get in there. What can we expect when you guys step inside the cage?
I think you can expect a war. I think it's going to be two guys giving it all they got and going at it. And may the best man win. This time around, it's what I was talking about before. From fight to fight, I think my last fight and even my first fight, I was a bit reserved, and I wasn't as aggressive as I'd like to be. And this time around, I'd like to really, jump the pace up and just fight the way I want to fight and kind of let those nerves and anxiety go. It's been 2 times in the cage, and even though it's been a while since my last fight, I think I'm getting to the point where, I'm a lot less nervous when I get in the cage, and I can really just, turn it on and go. So that's my goal for this fight. I want to look back on this fight and say, wow, I fought the way I wanted to going into this fight, the way I envisioned myself fighting, and that's pretty much it.
Awesome. Now let's go back to you. You're talking about you're working full time, you're training. How are you balancing working full time, training? So I know you're not just putting in like 1 or 2 hours a week. You're putting in a good amount of time inside the gym. Tell us how that's going.
Yeah, it's tough. Actually, my first job, I moved from Jersey to Albany back in the summer, still working full time. And the first job I had, I didn't realize the hours were just insane, and I almost had no time to train. And it got to a point where I just got sick of that, and I left that job and started a new one with better hours. And now I'm able to train much more consistently. My goal is 5 to 6 times a week being in that gym.
Wow.
And it comes down to discipline and following a schedule. I always like to prep on Sunday, get all my meals ready so I don't have to cook, and I could just go right from work to the gym and get my training in. But yeah, it's definitely it's a step up from being a student, because in college you go to class in the morning and you're done for the day, and you kind of have a lot of free time on your hands. Here it's work, and it's a bit more serious because you got to do your job. It's not like college where you can kind of get by,
Slack off a little.
Yeah, you can slack off a little bit, especially during fight camp. Now it's serious. So I'm handling it well though, and I got a good work-life balance that gives me the ability to train as much as I want to, and yeah, things are going good. It just comes down to staying disciplined.
Awesome. Tell us, you said why you wanted to get in there. Tell us something how fighting has changed you as a person.
Oh, it's changed me in really incredible ways, and I think it's only the beginning for me. Martial arts altogether, it's humbled me as a person. I think it's made me a better person. It's got me through a lot of dark times in my life. And it's funny. Fighting is something, if you told me 3-4 years ago, one day you'd be stepping in a cage doing MMA, I would laugh, because I never thought, I'd go this route and do this. I played football and lacrosse in high school.
Okay.
We have a martial arts background. And I guess that's kind of the way the dice rolled, and I'm glad to be where I am. I love martial arts, and even beyond competing, I want to practice martial arts, jiu-jitsu, boxing, Muay Thai, as long as I can.
Now, you said you did football, you did lacrosse in high school. You didn't wrestle, though, it sounds like.
No, unfortunately, I wish I did. That's my one huge regret. I wish I wrestled growing up.
So what drew you, though, to, like, say, let me go to the gym, sign up for a jiu-jitsu class? And, that the jiu-jitsu and wrestling and everything, very different than football and lacrosse.
Yeah. It's so I graduated high school. Football and lacrosse was done. Wasn't going to play in college, and I kind of got bored. I was like, I need a challenge. I need something. And I heard about jiu-jitsu, and I said, I want to give this a try. Thinking it would be a cool challenge and something to practice and get good at. And yeah, I showed up, started just doing jiu-jitsu, and it was actually at a school down in New Jersey. And then during the school year, I went to RPI. That's when I went to Brian's gym, and they had a really great, that's where they had the boxing, Muay Thai, and all that. And it was just an obsession. Just kept showing up during the year at Brian's, during the summer back in Jersey at training grounds. And, at Brian's is where I think I really started to develop as a fighter. And that's what kind of drove me to come back up here and find a job up here so I could keep training with those guys and be a part of that gym and that team.
That's awesome. Yeah, I know I wrestled in high school and stuff, and I think the wrestling kind of bond with your teammates is much different than I also played lacrosse and football than that kind of bond with your teammates. And I think it's awesome that you're able to find a sport like jiu-jitsu and get into it. Yeah.
Oh, I love it. And, Brian Barry, that jiu-jitsu gym, everybody there is amazing. It's like, it really is. It's like a family and a community there. Everybody uplifts each other. Everybody supports each other. We all help each other learn and grow. And I love it there.
So what's your rank as a jiu-jitsu artist, I guess you could say?
So right now I'm a blue belt. I got my blue belt before COVID hit, the summer before. And then once COVID hit last March, everything kind of shut down. And that was a huge bummer. I was taking classes from home because RPI sent everybody home. And I was just watching online jiu-jitsu videos, online boxing, Muay Thai videos, and I bought a heavy bag for home, and I would just kind of do my classes at home and hit the bag and watch videos and study. But that was about all you could do for a while. And then the gym opened up. I think Brian opened back up sometime in August. But it was kind of limited training, following COVID protocols. And, we made the best of what we got. And it's now with everything starting to open up, it's finally getting back to normal.
Awesome. That's pretty cool that you were able to adapt and, go that extra mile looking for videos to learn new things while you're stuck in your home, unfortunately. Yeah. Because I know a lot of people are the same situation, and a lot of people didn't even do anything. They just figured they'd just chill on the couch and eat the potato chips. So, but that's awesome. You took advantage of what you could while you can.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I get bored if I do that. That's fun for me for maybe a day. And then I was like, I got to be doing something constructive because I also had in mind too that fights would eventually start back up, and I wanted to be up to par, or at least as much as I could if I was training full time at Brian's.
Absolutely. So you talked about you want to do as many fights as possible while you're healthy. How old are you right now, if you don't mind me asking?
No, not at all. I'm 23 years old.
All right, so you're young. You got a long ways to go. And you just started your amateur career. You said you got 2 fights under your belt. Yep. Is there a plan for you to go professional? I know you want to do it, be as active as possible this year. How many fights, how many victories does your coach and yourself have a game plan to make that leap and transition to become a pro?
So I think that would be something I'd talk to Brian and Cello and James about. And if that comes, if they feel that I'm ready to make that transition, and they say go ahead, then I would love to eventually go pro. I know some guys don't even do amateur fights and they go right to pro.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they have like a college wrestling background, or they have like a boxing or Thai background.
Absolutely.
I think it depends on the fighter. It depends on. I think you should a fighter like that comes from my background. You should at least do, I think, 6 to 10 amateur fights. See where your record's at. See where your head's at. See if you really want to take that leap and go pro. And that's something that I'll consider too. I'll have to take a look at what my record's at when I get to that mark. And, not that the record's everything, the slate's kind of wiped clean once you go pro. It doesn't carry over. But, yeah, there's factors that play in. But I think that racking up amateur fights and training hard and just really being disciplined and focused, it's possible to get to that point. So.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And you talked about, I don't know if you don't want to get into it, that's fine, about getting through dark days and stuff,
Yeah.
dark times. How does, like you mentioned that, and I assume it's part of the mental toughness aspect that martial arts grows within you. If you want to elaborate that would be awesome to hear about, because I know a lot of people go through similar situations.
Yeah, absolutely. I think martial arts altogether, it's very challenging, and on top of it being challenging, it gives you purpose. It gives you something to, it gives you something to, or an attainable goal, whatever that may be. It could be ranking up in a belt in jiu-jitsu. It could be winning an amateur fight. It could be a ton of different things. It could be losing weight. It could be just, gaining confidence in yourself, and it gives you that purpose. And then on top of that, the people you meet in martial arts, for the most part, you're all like-minded and you're all kind of chasing this similar goal. And this is especially true when, you got teammates that are fighting. And it's just, I think it's a combination of that challenge and being surrounded by great people that really lifts you up and carries you through those dark times. Like whenever I'm having a bad day, if I have a bad day at work, I never feel angry when I come out of training. I always feel like I feel like happy and calm. And, that's always been the case.
That's awesome. Definitely a stress reliever for sure. So I always ask this to fighters. I want to know something about them that nobody knows. So what's one thing about you that nobody knows and you would like to share with everyone?
One thing about me that nobody knows.
I've had a black belt that can't ride a bike, someone who's afraid of sponges, a lot of random different things.
God, not that people that know me would know this. I am shit scared of flying. I do not like flying. I used to like it, but and that might, a lot of people aren't. A lot of people are afraid of flying. I don't know. I get so bugged out every time I get on a plane to go somewhere. It's just and people who know me would never think that, but yeah, I'm not a big fan of it.
Is it the plane itself, like getting on the aircraft, or is it heights? Like I hate heights. I won't.
Yeah,
See me
I think it's heights, and if something goes wrong, it seems to me like you're just out of luck. It's it's not like when you're in a car and you can kind of hit the brakes and pull over. To me, when you're flying, I don't know. The likelihood of something going wrong, I hear, is like very, very low. But if it does go wrong, I don't want to be on that plane, because I've been on planes where there's really bad turbulence, and I think that's what instilled that fear in me.
Absolutely. And then also in the in-flight movies, the flight with Denzel Washington.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, no thanks, I'll pass on this movie.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Well, can you give a prediction for this fight?
Prediction? Listen, I'm not one for trash talking at all. All I can say is I can speak for myself, and I'm saying right now, I'm going in there and I'm giving everything I got. To me, every single fight's important. I like to learn from my past fights, but I don't like to dwell on them or think of them, victory or loss. All I think about is the training and the work leading up to it. And the only thing that, that I hold myself accountable to at the end of the fight is, did I give 110% effort all 3 rounds? So I'm going to throw everything I've got. I've got my game plan, and it's a matter of just executing, finding that balance, staying calm, and also giving everything I got. So that's on my end. I'm giving everything I absolutely have.
Awesome. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing this fight. I think it's a great matchup between the two of you. I'm looking at, and excited to be able to commentate this fight as well. So I'm pretty pumped for it. Austin, is there anyone you want to shout out? Anyone you want to recognize? You want to throw out your Instagram handle so people can follow you?
Sure. I'd like to give a shout out to all my teammates and coaches at Brian Burdge. We're all training hard every day to get ready for these fights. We got a ton of guys out of Brian Burdge that are fighting on this card, so I'm super excited for that. And then on social media, my Instagram's _Shoop, SHOOP 17. That's probably the platform I'm most active on. And then, that's about it.
Awesome. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing you get in the cage on Saturday, June 26th against Henderson. Should be a great one for those who can't get tickets. Definitely tune into the stream, check it out. Definitely worth it. Otherwise, get tickets, get to the Armory in Albany. It's going to be worth it. I absolutely promise you that. So check it out. Austin, best of luck to you. Looking forward to seeing you get in the cage.
Thanks, Kyle. Look forward to seeing you on the 26th.
Absolutely. This is Kyle Carroll signing off for the Carroll's Corner MMA podcast.